that's like for real dream come true. And I remember when I was on my visit to Dallas, they told me like straight up to my face, like, if you there at 4, we take him. Like, we don't think you're gonna be there at 4. They said, we think they're gonna get you at 3. But if you're there at 4, if you on that board, we take him. And I thought word was bond. I'm like, I'm gone then. If I'm there at 4, I'm there. They actually didn't think I was gonna be there at 5 because
Jalen Ramsay right there. This is interesting to see, your daily sports podcast, news, narratives, takes, and gambling. Jalen Ramsay talking about what the Cowboys, your Dallas Cowboys, told him about his draft stock. They said that if you're there at 4, we're taking you at 4. He was there at 4. Did they take him? They did not. I think Jerry Jones saw visions of yesteryear, and they took Zeke Elliott instead. Jalen Ramsay is now, I don't know, probably the best player at his position and certainly one of the best players on the planet. For the Los Angeles Rams, he was drafted by Jacksonville, who didn't lie to his face and said, if you're there at 5, we're taking you. You think you're going to be there at 5? And he said, no, I don't. And they said, well, if you are, you're one of us. And they were right. They were right. He said he wanted to go to the Chargers just because he wanted to be the first defensive player off the board. That was the Jared Goff draft and the Carson Wentz draft. So it went Goff, Wentz, Joey Bosa, Zeke Elliott, Jalen Ramsay. Stupid. That was a great draft, man. That was a really good draft. There were 4 tackles taken, 3 of which are really good. 5 tackles were taken in the first round, 3 of which are really good. 1 is pretty good, and the other one is a serviceable NFL player, which does not happen very often. All right, let's take a look at some stuff. We got some controversies today. Yes. And some things to make fun of. The top story on the internet.com today, of course, is going to be the retirement of Bruce Arians. Out of nowhere, seemingly, Bruce Arians decided to retire in the middle of the season. You could kind of smell this coming. There were a lot of rumors about it. The guys at Barstool Sports, Barstool Big Cat, PFT commenter, they asked Adam Schefter straight up what they thought about this, if part of Brady coming back was Arians retiring, and nobody knows exactly the relationship between that. But it looked like this was a long time coming. So these are the facts. Arians steps away, and we'll talk about what he said in his statement in a moment. But Brady, it has been reported by sources out of Tampa that Brady knew that Arians had planned to step down within about 24 hours after he said he would be coming out of retirement, which he was never actually retired. He was just on vacation. By the way, people forget that he never retired. So he also found out about the succession plan. In Arians' wake, they're simply going to hire Todd Bowles. Now, they do not have to have an open hiring process because the Rooney Rule does not apply when filling a vacancy after that is created after March 1st. Now, why is that the case? That seems like it should be. That's like a little racist. No, there's just the thought process of the rule, of the Rooney Rule, and why that's the thing is that you don't have to comply to it after March 1st because they don't think that there will be enough of a talent pool available. Regardless, Todd Bowles, of course, is a black man who has been a head coach previously. He is now the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And apparently this had been the succession plan all along. Now, this is Arians' statement. I'm going to bring it up for you guys on Twitter.com. And if you are watching on YouTube, you can read it yourself. Arians, quote, "Succession has always been huge for me. With the organization in probably the best shape it's been in its history, with Tom Brady coming back, I'd rather see Todd in position to be successful and not have to take some crappy job. I'm probably retiring next year anyway, in February. So I control the narrative right now. I don't control it next February because if Brady gets hurt, we go 10-7, and it's an open interview for the job. I got 31 coaches and their families that depend on me. My wife is big on not letting all those families down." If that's true, that's awesome for him. There is some speculation online from trolls and from internet people that perhaps Tom Brady was like, I don't want to play for Bruce anymore. He's pissing me off. There were, of course, rumors last year that they weren't getting along very well. But Brady posted this big, long, heartfelt Instagram message. Let's see if we can bring that up for you now. "Thank you, B.A., for all that you've done for me and our team. You're an incredible man and a coach. It was a privilege, etc. Smart, tough, and loyal, blah, blah, blah. I'm so happy for you, etc." Same old shit. So that was a big deal. Now, Bowles becomes one of the minority coaches in the NFL, which leads us to our next thing, which is not funny, but it's funny. You know what I mean? It's one of those things like you don't want to laugh, but it's also happening. It's part of the narrative, so we're going to talk about the news, narratives, takes, and gambling. So there are a handful of minority coaches in the NFL. Not nearly enough as I pull part of, what is this? Disgusting. It's my wife's hair. It's just in me. God, gross. Part of being a minority coach in the NFL is being on lists like these. So now, here are the list area. Tom Pelissero of NFL whatever, media. No, I don't want you. I want you. There we go. Here are the minority coaches in the NFL. Mike Tomlin, Ron Rivera, Robert Saleh, Mike McDaniel, Lovie Smith, Todd Bowles. Robert Saleh is, of course, not of African-American descent. He is, of course, of Middle Eastern descent, and he is the first Muslim head coach in the NFL. Mike McDaniel is he is of split ethnicity. He looks like the internet is dragging him. He looks like one of the whitest dudes you'll ever see. He got caught in undershirt no man's land. Look, so we're scrolling through Twitter. Mike McDaniel, just like everyone's like, man, Mike McDaniel. I forget, he's got a parent who's black and a parent who's white. That's part of the American experience. But the thing that we should all be laughing about is that he wore an undershirt under a white shirt in the coaches meeting in Florida for the picture, and buddy, it looks bad. It looks really bad. So the NFL, I'm sure that they told Tom Pelissero to write this tweet. We'll pull it up again. Mike Tomlin, Ron Rivera, Robert Saleh. They've been head coaches for at least 1 year. Mike Tomlin's been the head coach of the Steelers for 15 years, bro. 15 years. Crazy. Then Ron Rivera and Robert Saleh. Ron Rivera has been the head coach in the NFL for a long time. He was in the, I could be wrong, but I believe he was in the Jim Schwartz. Remember when Jim Schwartz, the head coach of the Lions, Ron Rivera was the head coach of the Panthers then. Then he took a year off. Then he became the head coach of the Washington football team, now the Washington Commanders, of course. Robert Saleh is in his second year at the New York Jets. Mike McDaniel, Lovie Smith, and Todd Bowles have all been, quote-unquote, hired in this cycle. Lovie Smith, this is the third time. Not a lot of coaches get a third shot at it. Lovie is getting a third shot at it. He's been the head coach of the Buccaneers, of course. Mike McDaniel was hired in the cycle. He's the head coach of the Miami Dolphins, and Todd Bowles is getting his second shot as well. So the NFL's like, hey, Tom, can you tweet this tweet that there is actually diversity, please? And Mike McDaniel's in these tweet replies, he's just getting dragged, getting dragged. But I mean, he doesn't care, man. Like, he shouldn't have to defend his whiteness or his blackness. He's just a football coach. Let's give that man a break. And apparently he's a genius. And the Mike McDaniel hiring is also incredibly disruptive because he has no background in playing football. He is just a football dweeb. He's just a nerd who loves the game. He loves offense, and he's been around for some stuff. He was on that famous Washington staff with when Jay Gruden was the head coach, and they had all those guys, Shanahan, McVay. I think McDaniel was there, as like a low-level assistant. So now Todd Bowles is the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We'll see how it goes. They're loaded. That guy just blitzer pants, and it burned him in the playoffs. But now he's a head coach. I thought he was a good head coach. I thought he got screwed. I forget. I should pull this up just to have the facts straight. It all runs together now. I started caring about the NFL very deeply, like back in, I want to say 2016 is when I really got into it. I believe he was the head coach of the Jets. Let's see if I'm right. Yes, he was the head coach of the Jets. How long was he head coach of the Jets? We're learning about this together. This is fun. Podcasts are fun. The Jets won 10 games in Bowles' first year leading the team. They barely missed the playoffs in 2015, and then, of course, they were the team that embarrassed the Matt Patricia Detroit Lions in 2018. So that means 3 years. 3 years with the Jets. Now he's back in the NFL. Eric Church pissed off the entire internet yesterday. It's just great. Eric Church, very famously, if you listen to like 4 of his songs, you'll know where he's from. He's from North Carolina. And Eric Church, who went to App State, and I think, he went to App State, which is a bummer that he's not more of. I'm sure he's a big App State fan, but he loves his Carolina Tar Heel basketball program. And he had a concert on Saturday, and he canceled that shit. He's like, I'm not playing a concert while Duke and North Carolina are playing in the NCAA tournament for the first time. He canceled it. He didn't reschedule it. He canceled it. He loves the sport so much. Fans are pissed. And Eric Church really is. He's got a rock star mentality, and he doesn't give a shit. So let's read some tweets. Eric Church, absolutely unacceptable. My husband and I have tickets to your show this weekend in San Antonio, plus our hotel room because we live in Austin. and you canceled because you want to go see a basketball game. No longer a fan. Hashtag no longer a fan. This is really messed up. Eric Church canceled San Antonio concert Sunday to watch basketball. How could he do this to those fans? Some people plan an entire vacation to fly here for the concert. I hope he gets sued for 4 flat tires on his way to the game. He's not driving the game, dude. Eric probably going to take a helicopter. Eric Church canceling a concert that your fans have bought tickets to so you can watch a basketball game. So he's got a self-centered, disrespectful move. Eric Church, being country used to mean being a man of your word. What? Being country used to mean being a man of your word? Get the fuck out of here. You're bailing on your obligation. It's not an obligation. To go watch a basketball game? How shameful. He can do whatever the fuck he wants, man. Let's read the statement. To the church choir, that's his fan group. This Saturday, my family and I are going to stand together. They're going to stand together on the Tar Heels, to cheer on the Tar Heels as a team and made it to the Final Four. As a lifelong Carolina basketball fan, I've watched Carolina and Duke battle over the years, but never in the matchup of the Final Four for the first time in history of the NCAA tournament is any sports enthusiast's dream. This is also the most selfish thing I've ever asked the choir to do, to give up your Saturday night plans with us so that I can have a moment with my family and the sports community. However, it's that same type of fashion felt by the people who will fill the seats at our concert that makes us want to be part of the crowd of the game with significance. Woody Durham always said, blah, blah, blah. Man. You know, honestly, I missed one hockey practice in my entire life, and it was to watch the Florida Gators bitch slap Ohio State in the national championship. Sports matter, man. They matter a lot. So, one last thing. We'll get to one last thing. Baseball's starting soon. We'll get into that. And tomorrow, of course, we'll be previewing the Final Four, gambling and all of that. But we have one last story. At a track meet in Florida, this happened. If you're watching, I'm going to let you watch it. And if you're listening, I will explain to you after you listen to this person freak out.
Kidding me? ¿Qué pasó?
One more time. Yeah, that guy explains it all. Let's watch what happened. So, okay. It's a track meet in Florida, obviously. And there's a 1,600-meter race going on, and a guy that's running in the video, just this guy comes up behind him and just sucker punches the shit out of him. It's a high school track meet, and this guy just gets sucker punched in the middle of the race. Now, the guy that sucker punched him was also a participant in the track meet. However, he was not a participant in the race. According to something called, and this is a real magazine, Canada's Best Running News, runningmagazine.ca, who starts off their story with Chris Rock wasn't the only victim of a stealth assault over the weekend, which is funny. According to this magazine, you can read it here, it's on the internet, he was standing on the track during the beginning of the 1,600 race, and the guy that got punched shoved him out of the way, so on the next lap, which is a 4-lap race, the 1,600, the guy waited for him, and he came up behind him and just sucker punched him. The police are investigating. I don't know that there's a ton to investigate. It'll be up to the school and the kid if he wants to press charges. But the guy yelling, "Are you fucking kidding me?" That guy gets it. Why are we so violent all of a sudden? Everybody's so mad. And we're all just so mad. Honestly, I thought for a long time that The Purge was stupid. And now I'm thinking we're working our way to a collective purge. That's going to do it for this episode. I'll be back and better than ever previewing the Final Four tomorrow.